Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Looking at a saw that Curt sent me. We've been talking about this for a little while, and it is here. It's been here for a little while. Notes, happy Groundhog Day. As we messaged before, here's my 026. The saw has been having low power in the wood and starts a bit tough, but it will run. So use your magic and see what is up. I am sure the recoil area is dirty, as I haven't been in there to blow anything out. The bar, I think, has seen better days, and if you're ordering parts, maybe if you think, throw one on. So I will wait to hear from you as to your opinion and thoughts. Maybe a YouTube on a Rogue Stihl. Well, since I'm in the Rogue Valley, and I just made this sumbitch a Rogue Stihl. So I'm gonna hope that there's a little magic in the bottle for this, because I'll sum up what I know about a Stihl 026 in 2 words: jack shit. Ineloquent but accurate. I've never worked on one of these, so I'm gonna use just general knowledge of what a 2-stroke engine should be doing, and we're gonna see what we can figure out. There's a lot of guys out there that have worked on these, and I'm just not one of them. My first impression is it's been used. That sprocket is down very low. If we get this thing running right, we're going to replace that. Now, that compression feels pretty good. I don't see anything wrong with it there. Now, is this one that has a decompression button, or is that just a rubber plug? I don't think these have a compression release. Just for grins, pop the muffler off. We'll just take a peek at the piston and make sure that's not the right size. Difference between a T25 and a T27 is minor, but important on these torques. Stihl, that much I do know, is very fond of Torx head screws. So if you're a Stihl guy, you better have yourself a good set of these T-handles. I just want to take a peek at the piston and just make sure that there's no scoring on this side. Because even with good compression, you can still get some pretty funny run characteristics if you've got a partially stuck ring, especially as the saw heats up. If everything looks good here, I'm going to say that anything we got going on is going to be on the intake side. More than likely carburetor and stuff like that. Could be a fuel hose. Okay. And of course, Stihl doesn't make this shit easy on a guy, because they've got it completely boxed over the port. And you can tell I'm not exactly surprised by that. I've worked on a few Stihls over the years, successfully. Just not an 026. Maybe the one I get the most email on, I think it was the 032. I'm not remembering real well now, but there was the fella here in the Rogue Valley that had one that had the module under the flywheel. It was kind of a hybrid electronic ignition system, and we were able to use one of the aftermarket Atom chips to make it happy again. Alright. The saw needs cleaned out. I'm going to agree with that. But we're in good shape. Let me get this rolled over. See if I can do it without popping too bad. Oh, there we go. You see that? I think you guys can. Looks beautiful. I got zero worries about that. Let's get the cylinder cover off. We'll see what's underneath here. Oh. Okay. Good and tight. Possible all this thing needs is a good tune-up. That's just a rubber bumper, so this does not have a compression release. Alright, a lot of buildup of crap. Stihl is not known for eating intake boots. Theirs are a lot more durable than Homelite. So much sawdust in here, it's really hard to tell what's going on. And a little bit of a pine branch. That explains the buildup. If this saw was cut in pine, anybody who's cut that knows it gets everywhere. Filter I've certainly seen worse. I don't think it's starving for air by any stretch. My problem is I can't go just warm this thing up and cut with it until it acts up. So there's our fuel hose. Still pliable. I hate those weird ass angles that they made, but that's why it's ribbed. That should be fine. And the impulse hose right here, the carb just slips into. It's always possible that that's leaking. Yeah, it's not super common, at least the stuff I've worked on. Maybe it is, and I just don't know about it. So, I'm not seeing anything obvious here to explain a lack of power and a hard start. I think what I'm going to do is clean everything up as best I can with where things are at right now. And yeah, we'll come back. Alright, got everything clean enough for what we're going to do. I'm going to pressure test the crankcase, but just for grins, before we do that, I'm going to check and see how the spark looks. The spark plug looks like this saw is running actually close to where it should be. So you can see the one side's just a smidge dark, and over here a little bit light. I think there's some carbon arcing, there's some carbon buildup down in there. But all in all, this looks like it's running a pretty clean mix and running about what I would want it to run. So I'm leaning more and more towards it just being a carburetor issue. This would help if I... Perfect spark. Can't complain about that at all. The reason I'm going to take the time to pressure test this is there is no other brand on the planet that I have found personally that is more prone to having a bad crankshaft seal or crankcase seal than a damn Stihl. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the luck of the draw. That's what I have come into contact with. I don't know. I just know that's the experience I've had. I don't want to destroy this rubber if I can avoid it. I don't know if I've got anything pre-cut that's worth a damn. That might work. Yeah, that'll work. What's up? I've got a bunch of pre-cut stuff for Homelite, but Stihl is not even close to the same. So, use a generic piece of rubber and we'll see if it works. Now with these Stihls, I like to put one right behind the carb boot, or between the carb and the carb boot. That way when you're pressure testing, you're testing that boot too. I have to pull up a picture of a new old stock boot and see if the shape that this one is right. It probably is. I'm just, when I look down here, I'm like, holy God, that's an odd angle. But I'm not sure that I see any other way to do what they needed to do. So, it's probably fine. Okay. I don't want to distort that muffler body. That looks pretty good. At least we're going to say it is until I know that it isn't. Let's see. I think we've got to pop that fuel hose off first. Huh. All of that for a small barbed end. The size of that damn thing. Alright, there's a grommet on the idle there. I think that should come with. Just got to get this to come loose from the impulse hose, which it did. Okay. And then the trick. Is this one of those? Yeah. There we go. There's a slot in the throttle. Well, I think. You're an annoying bastard, aren't you? One thing I've learned about these is that it doesn't pay to foul this up. Got to get that throttle to stay open at the right spot. Get that rod to come loose without being a pain in my butt. And as of right now, I haven't found that magic spot. God damn it. I tell you. There's a reason that I work on old home lights. Primarily, because this is a pain in the ass. Can't see shit down in there. Oh, that's an odd shape. And I know I don't want to be popping that off. So let's figure out what the secret is to unlock this thing. And say I know there is a way. Oh, damn it. Should not have to take that throttle handle apart to do this. Okay, I'm not going to waste a bunch of time cussing on camera. We'll come back. Okay. Block-off plate is installed. Or rubber, I should say, behind that carb. So let's pump it up and see what happens. Oh, it's a cold morning. That hose is stiff. Let's see how this works. Okay. I'm achieving absolutely nothing here. This ain't pumping up at all. So is one of the block-offs no good? Or is it something else? I can't tell. I'll be damned. I can't. Well, I can hear it from somewhere. But I'll be damned if I can tell where. That does not at all mean that there's a leak on the saw. Not yet. All that means is I can't find where this is happening. So, again, do some more investigation and we'll come back. Alright, sometimes suspicions are right. We got a leaky flywheel side crank seal here. Okay, now that spray bottle, of course, put air bubbles all over in there, but that's pretty damn obvious. That is all she wrote. So, for me, that's enough. I would explain hard start. With a leak that bad, that'll explain a hard start. I may have come across a seal that bad on a home light. If I have, I don't remember it. I mean, that thing is good and gone. So, more than likely, when I go out looking for parts, there'll be a kit that does both sides. I'm thinking that that's probably the best. There's no play in the bearing. I mean, zero. So it's just a worn out seal. That's all it is. As I'm taking this apart, I will go ahead and check the carburetor just to be sure that it doesn't need a kit. There isn't a bad diaphragm, but I haven't been able to get any leakage around it, like around the pulse hose or anything like that. So I'm going to say that that crank seal is what is the problem. So another example of where, if you're going to work on these a lot, especially Stihls, get yourself a crankcase pressure tester kit, or something that you can make into one. Something to put pressure to a crankcase, a low pressure. I mean, you don't want more than about 15 psi on one of these things, or you really will blow crap up. But something that you can do that. Get that soapy water on there, because it'll tell you every single time. So, I will order parts. God knows how long it's going to take to get them in. Things have not been delivered quickly at all lately. It's been quite frustrating, to tell you the truth, but I'll get the parts here as soon as possible, and the next time you guys see this saw, we should be on a test run. Okay, so I've got that thing put back together as far as I can until the crank seals get here. As I suspected, Custom Chainsaw Parts out of Southern Washington has a set of seals, so I ordered those. They weren't the least expensive ones out there, which is not the worst thing ever. I think they're going to be a better quality seal, but I also sometimes go for what's closest to avoid having something down for too terribly long. So the other part about the bar, this bar will be fine. It needs to be ground. I'm going to put it on the bar shop and clean it up. First thing I like to do when somebody says, is my bar bad, is do the rock test. Now that's actually not bad. This is a 325 63 gauge setup. I'll run the roller over that a little bit, but even out here at the tip, this is really minor. Mostly what this thing needs is cleaned up. Actually, before I pull that chain off of there, the one area of wear that you can see is right out here by the nose. This is why you want to flip your bar, because it will start to wear funny on one side if you only run it, you know, one direction. You want to flip it once in a while. So you can see there's a bit of a dip right here before it gets to the sprocket tip. Now, when I do the cleanup, I won't get all of that out, but it's also not shot. That's no big deal there. We'll clean it up just fine. I'm noticing that oil passage is wide open. This one's closed, so I'm guessing that I know the direction the bar was being run at that point. I think, yeah, it would have been like this. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. I can definitely see the wear out here. more on this side than I can on this side, although it's there too. We've got some damage to the rail right here. Again, not terrible. I'm not going to be able to take it all out because I'd have to grind a huge amount of material away, but I can smooth that out enough that it won't keep chipping. What I'm getting at is it appears there have been times that this hasn't gotten enough oil. And you can see the depth of these channels that have been cut right here. Now, a bar is going to wear and do this eventually, but I think these are relatively small oil holes. It's worth it to pay attention to these, and you know, after every cut, I mean every day of cutting really, you should be pulling the bar off and just blow all that crap out. You know, when you get done at the end of the day, just make that the habit. So anyway, this will be salvageable. It's got some wear, but these are also a thick bar. I've got room to groove a little bit down if I need to, but the wear isn't that deep. So this should be fine. So I'll run this over the bar shop and get it cleaned up, and then when those seals come in, we'll do a test run.